The twin suns of Valoria were setting beyond the crystalline peaks when Liam heard the sound of pitiful, keening wail that cut through the evening air like a blade. He paused on the dusty path leading to his settlement, the bag of repair tools slung over his shoulder suddenly feeling heavier. Humans weren't supposed to be on Valoria. They were the newcomers, the refugees, who had limped into this system after the Great Exodus, begging the draconic sovereignty for a small corner of land to call home. The dragons had agreed, but with cold indifference. Humans were weak, short-lived, and magically inert, barely worth noticing. Liam followed the sound off the main path, pushing through silvery fronds that released clouds of luminescent spores. There, in a small clearing, he found it, a dragon hatchling no larger than a house cat. Its scales the color of storm clouds, its wings torn and bleeding. It looked up at him with eyes like molten gold, and instead of attacking, it cried, "Hey, hey." Liam whispered, dropping to his knees. His hands, calloused from years of working in the terraforming stations, reached out slowly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The hatchling recoiled, but it was too weak to flee. Liam could see the problem immediately. A barbed thorn vine had wrapped around its left wing, the poisonous barbs sinking deep into the membrane. Without treatment, the wing would necrotize. The hatchling would never fly. For a dragon, that was a fate worse than death. Liam didn't hesitate. He pulled out his multi-tool and began working with the same careful precision he used to repair atmospheric processors. Dragons were supposed to be terrifying, godlike beings who commanded the elements and looked down upon lesser species. But this was just a scared, injured child. "Hold still," he murmured, his voice the same tone he'd used with his sister Nia when she'd scraped her knee as a kid. "I know it hurts, but I've got you." The hatchling whimpered but didn't pull away. Liam worked for nearly an hour, carefully extracting each barb, cleaning the wounds with the antiseptic spray from his first aid kit, and wrapping the wing with synthetic bandages. It wasn't proper dragon medicine. He had no idea what that even looked like, but it was what he had. When he finished, the hatchling looked up at him with those impossible eyes and made a sound like distant thunder. Then it did something that would later be called miraculous. It touched its snout to Liam's forehead. The world exploded in sensation. Liam saw through the hatchling's eyes, saw the attack by a territorial adult dragon, saw his mother dying to protect him, saw the long fall from the sky. He felt the hatchling's fear, its loneliness, its resignation to death. And then he felt something else, recognition, understanding, bond. Dragons didn't bond with other species. It was unheard of, impossible. But humans, the galaxy was learning, had a talent for impossible things. "You need a name," Liam said, his voice shaking. "How about Cirrus?" The hatchling Cirrus chirped in agreement. Liam carried Cirrus home in his jacket, ignoring the curious stares from other human settlers. His family's hab unit was small, cramped, but it was home. His parents had died in the Exodus. It was just him and Nia now, and she was away at the engineering academy. He set up a nest for Cirrus in his workshop, using thermal blankets and spare cushions. The hatchling ate the dried meat Liam offered and fell asleep almost immediately, his small body finally relaxing. Liam should have slept too, but he sat awake, watching Cirrus breathe, and wondered what he'd just done. By morning, he had his answer. The sky darkened with wings. Dozens of adult dragons descended upon the human settlement, their roars shaking the ground. The settlers panicked, running for shelters, certain that this was the end, that the dragons had finally decided to wipe them out. But the dragons weren't attacking. They were searching. The largest of them, an ancient worm whose scales gleamed like polished obsidian, landed directly in front of Liam's hab unit. When Liam stepped outside, Cirrus perched on his shoulder. The dragon spoke in a voice that resonated in his bones. "Human, you bonded with a hatchling of the Storm clan." Liam stood his ground, even though every instinct screamed at him to run. "I found him injured. I helped him. That's all." The ancient dragon's eyes narrowed. "That is not all. You created a soul bond, something reserved for our own kind. This has not happened in 10,000 years. Other dragons murmured, their voices like approaching thunder. Liam felt Cirrus trembling on his shoulder, but standing tall, refusing to back down. "The penalty for bonding without permission is death," the ancient dragon continued. But the law is old, from a time when bonds could be forced. Your bond was freely given, freely accepted. The dragon lowered its massive head until it was level with Liam's. What is your name, human? Liam, just Liam, just Liam, the dragon repeated, and something like amusement flickered in its ancient eyes. You have done what no outsider has done. You saw not a dragon, but a child in need. You gave aid without expecting reward or fearing consequences. This is the old way, the true way, that even we had forgotten. The dragon reared back, spreading wings that blotted out the suns. Let it be known across all of Valoria, Liam of the humans is recognized as Stormrider, brother to dragons, protector of the lost. His name shall be carried on the winds, and his people shall be under the protection of the sovereignty. We were wrong about humanity. You are not weak. You are not worthless. You simply see the world differently and, perhaps, better than we do. The other dragons roared in acknowledgement, the sound rolling across the valley like an avalanche. Liam stood there, a teenage human with a dragon hatchling on his shoulder, and realized that everything had changed. Not just for him, but for every human in the settlement. They were no longer refugees to be tolerated. They were allies, family, equals. Cirrus chirped proudly, and Liam couldn't help but smile. By morning, the skies knew his name. By evening, legends were already being written.